What's good? It's your boy Humble J, and today I'm gonna be discussing the easiest ways to start investing in real estate. Now, I'm gonna break down a few of the easiest, lowest cost strategies to get into real estate investing. Now, the first one is something called REITs. Now, what's a REIT? A REIT is a real estate investment trust. Now, what is that? A real estate investment trust is basically it's a company that you can buy shares in, similar to any company on the stock market. You can buy shares in that company, so they raise funds, and what they do is they develop real estate, commercial real estate. They rent units out, and they make a profit from the rents, plus, of course, properties appreciate in value. So when you buy shares in a REIT, you're buying basically partial ownership of their portfolio. So you are a part owner of all of their properties, and REITs are great because, first off, it doesn't take a lot of money to buy shares in a REIT. It's completely passive. You don't have to mow lawns or deal with tenants. You just, the value of your share will appreciate over time. Plus, you'll get dividends from the rent that the properties are receiving. And the dividends and the ROI from REITs is usually much higher than that of stocks on the stock market. So, it's a great way to get your foot in the door with real estate. And it's also passive. I'm going to make some more videos in the future going more in depth on all of these, but that's one strategy. The next strategy is wholesaling real estate. Now, what is wholesaling real estate? Basically, all that means you're getting properties under contract and essentially selling those contracts to other real estate investors. So how would that work? So say this lady here is selling her house, right? And it's been sitting on the market for a while. She's having a hard time getting rid of it. So you approach her and say the house would originally be worth $300,000, but it's kind of beat up. You say, let me get it under contract for $250,000. Now at that point, it doesn't cost any money to sign a contract. You don't have to pay the money. It's just a contract stating that the seller will allow you or one of your associates to purchase the property at that price in a certain period of time. So now what you would do as a wholesaler, you get that property under contract for $250,000, and you find a real estate investor who has the money to actually buy the property, and you sell him that contract for, say, $260,000. So now, when it goes to escrow, you do what's called a double close. So that just means everybody gets their money sent to them when the escrow closes. So the money would go 250 would go into escrow. 260 from the buyer would go into escrow. 10,000 would go to you as the wholesaler, and the remaining 250 would go to the seller. Now, you'll see on YouTube and stuff, a lot of people always talking about wholesaling. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, nothing like that. It's extremely difficult. It's definitely a full-time hustle. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's not gonna be easy first to find properties, and it's not gonna be easy to get people to sign those contracts. You're gonna have to be a fast talker if you want to be a real estate wholesaler. Now, the next strategy is something called a master lease option. Now, what's a master lease option? A master lease option is something that's used in commercial real estate where say you might not have the funds or the credit or whatever to actually purchase a commercial property. Maybe you don't have the 20% down, like who really does for a commercial property. So what you would do is you would approach the seller and you would present them with a master lease option, which is 2 separate documents. First, the master lease. Now, the master lease is basically a lease for the entire commercial property. It gives you control over the entire property. So now you would pay the owner rent every month for the entire commercial property, but maintaining the property and keeping units filled, that will be all your responsibility, but you would pocket all the rent. So say you got a master lease option for $5,000 a month, but your rent roll, say your cash flow from the rents was like $7,000 a month, or say $7,000 a month. That means you would be making $2,000 a month from managing that property. Now, the option aspect of it is at the start of the lease, you would get the seller to sign an option. So what's an option? The option is just a contract stating that the owner will let you purchase the property at a certain price within a certain span of time, usually a few years or whatever. So you would rent the entire commercial property for a few years. You would be trying to increase the net operating income of the property. I'll get more into that, the ins and outs in a different video, but you do that, you gain equity in the property because the option price was set. So while the property appreciates, that's all your equity. And then when it comes time now that you're in a position where you can buy the property, you then exercise your option and buy the property. In that way, you could get a commercial property where you might have had to have, $100,000 to put down, and instead you could have had maybe $10,000, $20,000 and acquired the property. Now, another strategy is something called rental arbitrage. Now, what is rental arbitrage? Rental arbitrage, sometimes they call it re-renting. Now, that's when you will rent a unit, whether it be an apartment unit or a condo unit or a single family home, whatever. You rent a unit, and then you would list that unit on either Airbnb or Stay Away or your own website, and you would rent it out almost like a hotel on a daily or weekly basis. It's becoming a real popular thing right now, rental arbitrage. It's completely legal. The only caveat is you would need the landlord's permission. But so yeah, you would just sign the lease, pay your first and last, and then furnish the unit, and then you could put it up on Airbnb or whatever platform, Booking.com, and yeah, it's pretty plug and play from there. There's definitely loads of money to be made on Airbnb and those sorts of platforms. If you just personally know people who use short-term rentals, that's something I would look into. Me, myself, personally, I'm actually looking into some spots to get right now for rental arbitrage. But yeah, those 4 strategies are probably the easiest, lowest cost way you could start investing in real estate.